is Newsroom. Hello and welcome from Johannesburg in South Africa. My name, of course, Eben Jansen. This show is live. It's broadcast from our studios in Auckland Park. We're also streaming live on YouTube right now with our whole show then available on demand on our YouTube channel. Today, we look at the spate of mall robberies that's hit South Africa in recent weeks. It's Tourism Month also, and we focus on ecotourism here in South Africa with Paul Minari a little bit later. The Soweto Wine and Lifestyle Festival takes place over the next few days. We look at that, and we close by focusing on the cracking sporting weekend that is ahead of us. But first, let's get the news from Boi Mlam.
Well, hello and welcome to Newsroom. I'm Boi Mlam, and let's take a look at the top stories this morning. DA leader Helen Zille has denied that attempts to acquire the so-called spy tapes are a vendetta against President Jacob Zuma. The tapes were handed over to the DA yesterday following a long legal battle. The NPA had in 2009 dropped fraud and corruption charges against Zuma, claiming the tapes contained evidence of collusion by the Scorpions and others against Zuma. Zille says President Zuma has an impeccable struggle record, but people need to be held accountable.
We are going to be using this as evidence in a review application on the withdrawal of over 700 counts relating to corruption, fraud, money laundering and racketeering that were withdrawn against the president before he became the president in 2009.
The Farnham Commission of Inquiry resumes this morning with Lawyers for Human Rights set to cross-examine international police expert witness Keir Starowitz. In his testimony yesterday, he said the use of assault rifles by police when dealing with violent strikes was not in line with international human rights laws. 34 miners were shot and killed in clashes with police at Marikana 2 years ago. Lesotho's coalition members will today meet King Letsie III to discuss the timelines for removing the suspension of the kingdom's parliament. This after embattled Prime Minister Tom Thabane assured the international community that parliament will resume on the 19th of September. Thabane has suspended parliament amid speculation that he faced a vote of no confidence. Moving to Africa, a severe lack of protective gear are placing health workers at high risk of being affected by the Ebola virus because of their close contact with the sick. According to reports, nurses from an Ebola ward in Liberia must cut up old overalls to serve as makeshift head coverings to protect themselves from infection, despite international promises of more equipment. The Ebola outbreak in West Africa has killed 1,900 people, and officials warn that the time is running out to control it. Health workers account for about 10% of the deaths so far. Then international news, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko and the main pro-Russian rebel leader said they would both order ceasefires today, provided that an agreement is signed on a new peace plan to end the 5-month war in Ukraine's east. This while NATO leaders are expected to announce a raft of fresh sanctions against Russia today over its actions in Ukraine. The leaders are heading into the second and final day of a NATO summit in Newport, Wales. Now remember, as always, all these top stories are available on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Eben, over to you.
Thanks, Katrin. Now, police are investigating a possible link between a spate of shopping mall robberies in Gauteng in the last week. In the latest incident yesterday, a clothing store at the World Wear Shopping Centre in Fairlands here in Johannesburg was targeted. The Institute for Security Studies, well, they say poor police crime intelligence gathering is compounding the situation.
Yet another shopping mall hit. Police are searching for 8 men who robbed a clothing store here. It's the 5th robbery in Gauteng this week.
The Provincial Commission of Gauteng is very concerned about these recent robberies. As a result, he has appointed the Provincial Investigation Unit to look into these robberies. And we are also looking at the footages to see whether it is the same gang that is committing these robberies or are a different gang.
Confined to Gauteng, it's a worrying trend countrywide. In the 2011-2012 financial year, 274 malls were targeted. In the 2012-2013 financial year, 438 were hit, and in the following financial year, a total of 665. Security study says there's been a major increase of 142% in shopping mall robberies over the past 3 years. Since the beginning of this year, 530 incidents have been reported, and Gauteng has been hard hit.
I think what creates space, though, for these criminal groups is the fact that the police appear to be failing in terms of their ability to generate good crime intelligence that would enable us to identify these groups and to properly infiltrate and neutralize them. So it's a combination of a number of factors.
No arrests have been made in connection with any of the recent incidents in Gauteng. Criselda Lewis, SABC News, in Johannesburg.
A mall was attacked and robbed nearly every day here in Gauteng this week. There's no need to panic or change your routine, but remain vigilant. Now, to unravel this new type of crime, or this type of crime, we are joined in Pretoria by advocate Simi Pillay van Graan, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Business Against Crime here in South Africa. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
And then we're also joined by police spokesperson in Gauteng, Lieutenant Colonel Lungelo Dlamini, who is with us this morning. Thank you, Colonel, for joining us.
Good morning, sir.
If I can start with you here in studio, you've heard what the Institute for Security Studies say. They're blaming poor police intelligence on these groups for this kind of, or for the increase in this kind of crime that's happening. As the police, what are your views on that kind of comment?
We are looking into the matter, but the criminals also, they don't act blindly. We believe they get information from somewhere. We are looking also at the issue that maybe they might be colluding with the employees of these several places that are being robbed. If you look at Maponya Mall, we are investigating that the security guards might have been colluded with the criminals in the involvement of a robbery. We are also looking at all the possibilities. We are also looking at our crime intelligence to make sure that they do their work properly.
If I can come to you, Simi, in Pretoria, just as Business Against Crime, tell us or give us your opinion on this recent wave of attacks on malls that we've seen in Gauteng, and then what are your members saying?
Well, we're highly concerned as an organization and also as an individual. It's highly concerning, especially the high rate of crimes over the last week. And with Gauteng being the hardest hit, I think businesses are highly, highly concerned, as well as consumers. What we believe is that there's definitely a syndicate because of the frequency of the offences that have occurred over the last week. And Business Against Crime is actually starting to be proactive with its partners to try and curb this problem.
In South Africa, we're quick to blame the police when we don't have anyone else to blame. We saw the Institute of Security Studies, they come out and say poor police intelligence. Your relationship with the police, explain that to us and then just tell us the kind of, or your reaction to this kind of comment.
Well, I don't really think it's accurate. We do have a very good working relationship with the police, so we do understand the dynamics. Whilst it may be a law enforcement issue, I think the biggest onus lies with the business entities themselves. One cannot expect the police to constantly patrol anyone's property. I believe that if you do set up a mall, there's an expectation that you're going to get thousands of people going through a mall on a daily basis. That responsibility lies with you as the owner of that mall or the retail stores. So we believe that it has to be a multidisciplinary approach to addressing this crime. You cannot put the blame solely on the police.
On that note, I want to come to you here in studio, Colonel, and just see in the past we've seen banks, jewelry shops were targets, then eye stores. Now it seems even clothing stores are being targeted. Are these gangs changing the way they operate, and is there a cause for alarm for the public out there?
The Provincial Commissioner has tasked the Provincial Investigation Unit to look into these incidents. And in the same time, we have got footages that we are looking at to establish whether it might be the same group or not. And we are following several leads that may lead to the arrest of some of these gangs.
And you are confident that your investigations are moving in the right direction on this front?
We have got top teams that have taken over these cases. We believe we may make the arrest very soon in the future.
How sophisticated are these gangs, Colonel, that engage in this kind of activity?
It is a group. It's a group. Sometimes it's a group of 2 or 3 people. But when they go to rob these shops, we find that the other groups they stand outside. We are appealing to the business people to improve their security, because some of the footages that we look at, we find that they're in a poor quality that affects the work of the police, especially the investigations.
Simi, if I can come to you in Pretoria, just a mall is really organized chaos in a way, and it must be very difficult to secure and protect. But the question then is, do we have adequate security at most of our malls in South Africa, or can we do better in dealing with this kind of crime as malls and then as individual business owners?
Well, I think the spate of crimes is an indication that we don't have sufficient security in the malls, and there's quite a lot that can be done. I think the first priority is to know who's entering your premises, as far as possible. And what Business Against Crime is doing at the moment is that we've got an initiative involving the automatic number plate recognition cameras, which will enable malls or give them an indication of every vehicle that comes through their gates. It will allow us to identify if there's stolen vehicles or suspicious vehicles that do enter the premises, and this should create a red alert, which would go directly through to the police. There's other security measures like CCTV cameras where the standards need to be enhanced. As the police has just indicated, the quality of footage is quite poor, so it defeats the purpose anyway. There's also a need for metal detectors at entrances so that people passing in with firearms would be detected. There's quite a lot. The security industry themselves need to be well aligned and to be supportive of the South African Police Service. There again, you've got to look at regulatory standards within the security industry that would allow for a more optimized service to the business sector. Then there's communities as well. You've got to be very vigilant. You've got to be aware at all times of your surroundings. I think over the years, we've just basically accepted that South Africa has a lot of crime and we move on and carry on with life. We've got to start changing our attitudes as well.
Colonel, firstly, give us your response to that, and also then if you can add at the end of that, your message to the public out there. There seems to be on social media a growing panic around this. Is this necessary?
It is not, but when I can start also maybe to support her statements, I think the business people, they must also screen their employees. Those people who are employed in the business, they must be screened. They must also upgrade the security. Also, as the festive season is approaching, we are going to launch our operations. But in the meantime, we have got patrols which are, we have got police officers which have been deployed around these malls to see that the robbers, they don't get away.
Simi, just give us a quick idea on the statistics that your members or that you have on crimes against your members, against businesses and so forth.
Well, we're in the process of compiling all of the business stats now with the various business entities. As you are fully aware, the Minister of Police will be releasing his stats soon, and then we would release the business stats. But what I can say is that there seems to be quite a significant trend that these statistics are far higher than they were last year.
Colonel, if I can come back to you, we saw in the week that the police need a little bit more money to deal with crime in South Africa in general. Are you happy as the police with the resources that you have? Is it adequate to branch out and protect malls and the like now as well?
We are concerned about that, especially you have got this service delivery protest every day, and our members are outstretched. They must go to each and every place. You find that in the whole province there is a service delivery protest, and everybody expects the police to act on those. That's how our resources are outstretched.
Finally, Simi, just give us your remarks or your message to business owners then out there and also to the public at large as to this issue and your views.
Well, Business Against Crime appeals to businesses. Please start to invest in security measures. We know that the recent recession has sort of debilitated businesses in that they've had to review how they spend their monies, and organizations have become far leaner. So it's really the security side that was compromised. So we would appeal to businesses, please make this country safe and invest in putting more adequate security measures to protect consumers. With the public, I would advise that you've got to be aware of your surroundings. Let's just stop being complacent and rely on law enforcement. We also have a responsibility to take care of ourselves. So we need to be very conscious of that at all times. And also, as members of the public and consumers, we are quite a powerful vehicle to actually force businesses to start protecting us when we are on their premises.
Thank you very much for joining us today. That's the Chief Executive Officer of Business Against Crime in South Africa, Simi Pele van Graan. Thank you once again for joining us. Final remarks belong to you, Colonel. Just tell us about the police's outlook on this crime in the sort of short and medium term.
We have got strategies which are in place. The short strategy now is that we'll be launching our festive season operation. These operations, they are concentrating in most crimes like the business robberies, the house robberies, and all other crimes where we do stop and search and we retrieve firearms, as well as we have got increased patrols in the streets.
Well, thank you for joining us today and being so candid about how you are dealing with this problem. That is the spokesperson for the South African Police Service here in Gauteng, Lieutenant Colonel Ngelo Dlamini, joining us in studio this morning. Let's now take a look at what's been happening on social media, what you are talking about on social media right now. Kanyisani Lomo says it's that time of the year where thousands of maidens congregate at the Royal Palace in Nongoma for the redance. Be safe on the roads. Yes, we had a very sad, tragic incident last year where 10 maidens lost their lives. 9 maidens lost their lives. Luazisto says, travelling across the traditional hills of the Kingdom of the Zulu to the King's Palace, redance final preps. Yes, it's happening from today onwards into the weekend. Enjoying my day off, redance, says Satu. We are very happy for you, sir. Enjoy the time off. Mkonzeni says, maiden furious over authorities' eviction of street vendors over Galito's stall. Too poor to afford expensive food. Well, that's a little bit different. There we have a lovely picture from the backpacker spot. Of course, there you can see all the maidens preparing for the redance this morning, singing and dancing at the Mklanga ceremony, also known as the redance. Says, what a lovely picture that was. You can see people from all around the world, all colours and creeds, they are converging on Nongoma this weekend for the redance. What a fantastic weekend it will be. Let's take a look now at the front pages from around the globe. Well, today we'll start down under in Australia, where an explosion in Roselle has claimed the lives of more than 2 people. There you can see a picture of the rubble from that blast in Darling Street. Then in the United States, as we go across the pond, papers are reporting on President Barack Obama urging NATO to help strengthen Ukraine's military and to leave the door open to new members to counter what he calls Russian aggression. And the International New York Times is looking at the role of Hamas in the killings of 3 teenagers that sparked the Gaza violence. Well, those are some of the stories that you can see on the international front. Now, the South African humanitarian organisation, Gift of the Givers, they are currently in Gaza to help as many wounded civilians as they can after a long-term ceasefire deal there was agreed to by Hamas and Israel, put an end to 7 weeks of fighting. Now, these are just some of the pictures we've been sent by members of the relief organisation who arrived in Gaza last weekend. The Gift of the Givers has provided medical assistance and food parcels to those affected. The conflict in the Middle East claimed the lives of more than 2,000 people. We are very proud of our South African doctors who have taken time out of their very own practices to go to Gaza and support those people in need. That's wonderful. Now, on a lighter note, today would have been rock legend Freddy Mercury's birthday. The fearless frontman of Queen sang the hit Bohemian Rhapsody, and people around the world are celebrating his legacy by being Freddy for a day. The following clip we found on YouTube this morning is Freddy performing live in Montreal in 1981. Truly one of the greats of all time. Shivers down my spine every time I listen to that track. Absolutely marvellous. One of the greats of all time. Freddie Mercury, we salute you today on your birthday. Time for us to take a break. When we come back, we talk biomes. Boi Mlam.
Go on. Go explore. Go with the waves. Lead the brave. Go bold. Go strong. Drive. Dare. Go everywhere. To oceans where no one's gone.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsroom here on SABC News. Ecotourism is a form of tourism that involves visiting fragile, pristine and relatively undisturbed natural areas of a particular country. With September being declared Tourism Month now, South Africans are encouraged to get out and explore their beautiful and diverse country. Now, here in studio today is our environmental guru, Paul Manare, to tell us about South African biomes and the natural beauty awaiting to be explored in our country. We very often overlook that. But, Paul, before we get into the biomes and what it is and how it works, just tell us a little bit about ecotourism and the state of it here in South Africa.
Okay, ecotourism is really awesome here in South Africa. A lot of people are very conscious on, doing their travel without doing any damage to the place that they travel to. Now, with ecotourism, it's basically, conserving and looking after these pristine environments. And it's quite big in our country as well. A lot of people are becoming more eco-friendly and, green ideas. And, of course, through these initiatives that we're doing, we're trying to support that and get people to understanding that they need to look after the environment. So tourism is a big part of our country, and also, it contributes a lot to our economy. And with Tourism Month now, people are encouraged to go out there. So if you're going to go on a road trip, do it in such a way that you are not destroying the environment that you're actually going out to visit. And also, do not use too much fuel. Try not to travel as much as
use a bicycle, you say?
Yeah,
use a bicycle where you can.
Yeah, when you get to Cape Town, use a bicycle or walk to places.
Now, is enough being engaged with all the communities in our country, or do we need to do more?
I think we certainly need to do more. There's lots that still needs to be done, especially with our type of communities. We've got a lot of rural communities, and we've got a lot of people who are eager to go out there and just have fun, but they do it in an sort of uncertain way. All they want to do is get to the beaches and have fun there, maybe litter a little bit. But, we need to get people involved. We need to encourage people that you can have fun in a clean way.
Yeah. My dad always used to tell me, leave only footprints and take only pictures. Is that the spirit that we should engage on?
Exactly. This sort of forget about the carbon footprint that we're doing, overconsumption and all of that. Just leave your footprints and do it in a clean way. And
take only pictures. I like that. Now, let's get to the point why we are here today. What are biomes then, Paul, and how is this related to ecotourism here in South Africa?
Okay, biomes, hopefully we have it on the back screen there and for everybody to see.
Yeah, there we have it, yeah.
Yeah, there we've got quite a number we've got about 8 biomes in South Africa. We've got forest, fynbos, grassland, Namakarua, savanna, succulent karua, and a thicket, and they're all indicated with the colors there, but we'll quickly go through most of them. Here you go, we'll start off with the grassland biome. This one you find in the high velds. We live in a grassland biome.
Oh, is this a grassland? I thought it was a man-made forest.
No. Well, it is man-made forest because of the trees that we have here.
Yeah. Then we have next the West Coast and the desert. Yeah, and then the Western Cape and Eastern Cape. What is that?
Okay, so this is the forest biome, and where it occurs is in the Western Cape and so on, and they'll keep moving. The fynbos as well. You know about the fynbos.
Yeah, very, very well. Yeah, very well. I know the fynbos very well. I've crashed my mountain bike in the fynbos a lot.
And what biomes are actually are places that have actually distinct characteristics from one another. Like, for instance, the forest biome, you'd find plants such as tall trees and foresty vibes. Yes. And with places such as the savanna, which is my favorite, one of the most beautiful ones here, you'll find a mixture of grassland, a mixture of thicket, a little bit of some forest, but not a lot of trees are found here. And you also, with these biomes as well, you also get different plants and different insects and different animals living there.
So you really have to be conscious of what's around you, and you really have to engage with it. But Paul, tell me, we see all this wonderful nature we have and different areas we have in South Africa. What's your favorite one, and what would you advise people to go and see there?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite ones would possibly be the savanna biome. That is just absolutely beautiful. And with the savanna biome is that it's a mixture of a lot of things. And of course, I think I've grown up in it as well. You'll see it in the Northwest Province. You'll see it in places such as the Limpopo Province. And when you move towards the Northern Cape Province, it has a mixture of desert conditions, which is also one of my favorites because you get some of the strongest animals. There's animals that can go for long days without water, or they use different mechanisms to get the water from their prey or from cacti. Yes. Yeah, and they're so constrained, but they actually show a strong will of life and survival in a sense that, thirst is not really a prerequisite for them. It's not something that they can actually say.
And it really is beautiful. It's beautiful to photograph and really beautiful to walk around in that sort of area. But it's spring now, Paul, and we had first flower celebrations this whole week and so forth, but it's also the time of the year where all the veldblommetjies, as they call it, or the veld flowers start blooming, and these places, is that part of your favorite biome where it gets so beautiful?
Yeah, completely, especially now in spring. Everything is starting to sprout out, and it's actually in their prime, and everything is starting afresh, basically. And there's a lot of other areas which are sort of pyrophytic. They need fire, they need to burn out so that the seeds can actually spread open and replant them again. And if you look at the Namakarua as well, at the moment, it's quite dry, especially with the succulent as well. It's quite dry, but around this time, it's very beautiful. Yeah. It's colorful, and you're seeing a lot of birds and insects. What tops it off more is that it's so quiet there. It's so silent. Yeah. Makes you feel like you're in a completely different space with just you and nature, and all you can hear is your deepest thoughts ever.
The thing that I enjoy the most in those areas, especially in the Namakuru, is the beautiful fires that burn at night, and then the fact that you can see the stars so clearly in the sky. It looks like the galaxies are right on top of you.
Exactly. It's unpolluted. And if you go further, the desert biome also includes the southern part of Namibia, and actually most parts of Namibia. And it's so clean there. There's not much air pollution there. And you can see the Milky Way at its clearest if you go into to those parts.
Paul, we could carry on for the whole day. I wanted to talk about planting season and what people can do, but we'll do that next week. Maybe we can talk about planting season and what people can stick in their gardens and so forth, and how they can really beautify it for everybody around, especially in the urban areas where people say it looks so ugly. So maybe we'll look at that next week, and maybe we can give people some advice as to what they can put in the ground, especially up here in the urban areas and so forth.
Definitely. That's a good topic. We'll look at the soils and everything else as well.
Our environmental guru, Paul Monari, has just schooled all of us on biomes and the 8 biomes we have in South Africa. Thank you, Paul. Always lovely to have you with us. Paul always brings a different slant and a beautiful take on, the most beautiful country in the world that we live in. If you're watching outside the borders of South Africa, we include you. Let's take a look at what's happening on our Newsroom Facebook page this morning. Today, there you will see that tributes are pouring in for the pioneering comedian Joan Rivers, who passed away yesterday at the age of 81 in a New York hospital. She died a week after a heart stopped during an outpatient medical procedure. You can also read more on how warring parties in northern Nigeria are subjecting boys and girls to forced recruitment that involves them spying and participating in attacks. And see that President Jacob Zuma has held another meeting with the National Director of Public Prosecutions to discuss matters relating to the recent announcement by the President of the intention to hold an inquiry into the NDPP's fitness to hold office. You can find all of these stories and a whole lot more on our Newsroom Facebook page. Now, today we pay tribute to veteran actor Boi Mlam, who would have celebrated his 85th birthday today. Mlam sadly passed away last week of heart failure. Now, tonight at 5:30 on this very, very channel, Film Essay, we'll look at the life of the playwright and doyen of Soweto Theatre.
Well, we have to remember Boiki's contribution started in the 70s. He was one of the 3 major giants of South African theatre, alongside Gibson Kente and Sam Mangwane. They provided us with the entertainment long before television, and he was one of the major pillars. So the accent of television a few years later, people like him are the ones who were feeding it with actors, with concepts, and with everything else. That's why it was a natural flow for him to move from theatre into television. And then, of course, the work that he has done in the last 30 years in television is just amazing, because he has been the voice of the actors and the voice of the entire industry. He didn't care for his personal growth and his personal riches. He wanted to fight for the little man, and that's what he did up until the last day of his life. He had the biggest heart that I've ever, one person with the biggest heart in the industry. I have not met anybody in this industry with as big a heart as Ubra Boyke.
He will be remembered, a true legend here in South Africa. Watch that show, Film Essay, at 5:30 this afternoon. It'll be worth a watch. Absolutely brilliant. We're going to take a short break. Newsroom will be back shortly.
Go on. Go explore. Go with the waves. Lead the brave. Go bold. Go strong. Drive. Dare. Go everywhere. To oceans where no one's gone.
Well, hello and welcome back to Newsroom. Let's just take a look at the top stories this morning. The Farnham Commission of Inquiry resumes this morning with Lawyers for Human Rights set to cross-examine international police expert witness Kees de Rover. In his testimony yesterday, he said the use of assault rifles by police when dealing with violent strikes was not in line with international human rights laws. 34 miners were shot and killed in clashes with police at Marikana 2 years ago. Lesotho's coalition members will today meet King Letsie III to discuss the timelines for removing the suspension of the kingdom's parliament. This after embattled Prime Minister Tom Thabane assured the international community that parliament will resume on the 19th of September. Thabane had suspended parliament amid speculation that he faced a vote of no confidence. In your international papers today, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko and the main pro-Russian rebel leader said they would both order ceasefires today, provided that an agreement is signed on a new peace plan to end the 5-month war in Ukraine's east. This while NATO leaders are expected to announce a raft of fresh sanctions against Russia today over its actions in the Ukraine. The leaders are heading into the second and final day of a NATO summit in Newport, Wales. All these top stories available on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Eben, over to you.
Yeah, Katrin, thank you. The 2014 Soweto Wine and Lifestyle Festival on its 10th anniversary kicked off yesterday and will go on until Saturday. Organisers of the 2014 festival have promised attendance an event that is stylish in Soweto like never before. The festival, held in association with the Food Network and the Travel Channel, is on at the University of Johannesburg's campus in Soweto. Now, co-founder of the Tops at Spa Soweto Wine Festival and owner of Soweto's Morara Wine and Spirit Emporium, well, Nikelo Mangipu is with us in studio today to tell us more about the festivities this weekend. 10 years is a long time. It must have flashed by. Just look back for us and tell us where it all started.
Well, it all started when we... bless you.
Bless me, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. The whole point was to demystify the negative perceptions about wine, especially in the townships. Yes. So we started with the wine festival 10 years ago, and then the wine festival started the Morara wine shop. Yes.
Now, how did you come about this idea back in the day? Was it all your own idea, or did you guys sit around and have a bit of wine and then come up with it?
No, I invited a friend over to my house, and then we decided that we want to do something about wine in the township, because we realized that historically blacks were deprived from enjoying the grape.
The fruits of our labor in the end. But now you say it's 10 years and every year it's been getting better and better. What will be different this time around? You're calling it stylish in Soweto, a touch of class it looks like.
Yes, the whole idea is to associate wine with lifestyle, because wine, it is a lifestyle. So we introducing healthy living with wine and fashion.
And the response of the people in Soweto to the festival, what are the locals saying? How are they interacting with the festival to date?
In fact, the response has been great. People are now able to identify the wines by their names. We've sharpened their palate, so we're very proud about that.
Now, we opened the festival, or you opened the festival yesterday.
Yes.
What is there for people to see and experience, and how did the opening go this year?
We started yesterday on the 4th. Usually our first days are slow because it's on a Thursday, but the responses yesterday was phenomenal, you know. So it means the interest in wine, it's growing, and we're happy about yesterday's turnout.
So Soweto can be a very tough market for this kind of thing.
Yes.
How are the locals responding to this, and how are they interacting with your festival?
I'll tell you that they say anything that works in Soweto, it's very easy to replicate in other areas. that's why we started this project in Soweto. And I can tell you now that Sowetans have received the culture of drinking wine very well.
Well, I would think so. Is there more a beer drinking culture in Soweto, and do you have to change people's minds a little bit, or are the people more open to this kind of thing?
In fact, one of the reasons why it took so long to get this project off the ground is you first had to deal with the mindset change, because historically wine was seen as a drink for snobs, you know. Or if you are a man seen to be drinking wine, they would label you a morphy, you know. So we had to demystify all that.
Yes. No, I can understand the cultural myth associated with wine drinking, but what's the benefit then? Let's move on to, it's nice to see this kind of thing and developing in Soweto and interacting with tourists and the like coming to Soweto, but what's the benefit and what more benefits would you like to see for the people in Soweto with this festival in mind?
I believe that the wine industry, it's predominantly concentrated in the white hands. So my endeavor is to cultivate the black Soweto market, because when you get more sales and more players in the wine industry, it means the wine industry is going to grow in the township and it's going to stimulate the economy.
And that's how you want to encourage entrepreneurship in Soweto through wine? Yes,
absolutely. It should make business sense for more black people in Soweto to open retail wine outlets.
Well, I hope you're very successful and that the people of Soweto and here in Johannesburg, people go down to Soweto and go visit the event. It's a fantastic event in its 10th year. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, thank you.
Brilliant. That's, the founder of the Soweto Wine Festival, Mnikelo Mangipo, who was with us in studio today to tell us a little bit more about the Soweto Wine and Lifestyle Festival that's on until Saturday. If you've got some time on your hands, it'll be a cracking way to spend your weekend. Let's take a look now at what's on what you're talking about really on social media. Joan Rivers was the trailblazer for all women comics who followed. She proved a woman could just be as outrageous and as funny as the guys. DJ Fresh, Big Dog. Ooh, who calls himself Big Dog? All the celebs can now wear what they want. Rest in peace, Joan Rivers. Yes, I agree with that one, but that one is cloned, unfortunately. Georgina Diaz says, I'm going to miss my sassy self on my Friday nights. Fashion Police is not going to be the same without you. Hashtag Joan Rivers. And there you have a picture of Robin Williams with Joan, the king and queen of comedy. May they both rest well. That one from Tweet Like a Girl. Yeah, I will reserve my opinion on Joan Rivers. I think that sometimes he was a little bit offside when dealing with people. It's good to laugh, but it's not always good to laugh at the expense of your fellow man. That's where I will leave that one, and I'll come to Percy Nkatlo to talk all things sports this weekend. We've got a big sporting weekend ahead of us. Cracking sporting weekend. It's shakes, rattle and roll this weekend for Bafana Bafana, isn't that, Percy?
Good morning, Eben, and good morning to the viewers at home. It's the start of a new era for Bafana Bafana. Sheikh's first match in charge of the team. It's one of those matches that we should say it's a must-win. When we look at the experience that we've had in the qualifiers, we saw with the World Cup, we lost 2 of the first games and we struggled going forward. So if we want to really make sure that we will qualify for Morocco 2015, we should do well in Sudan and follow that up with a win against Nigeria next Wednesday.
That's a big ask to start with. You believe that?
It's not going to be easy. Of course, conditions we know in East Africa, our players struggle most of the time when they are there.
Yeah.
The heat and. But now I've heard Sheikhs is happy with the beach. Our boys arrived there on Wednesday in the evening. They had their first training session yesterday, and he was happy with the condition of the beach and hopefully with the experience that some of the guys in the team have, like the Orlando Pirates player Senzo Meiwa, Thabo Matlaba, Opa Manyesa, they'll be able to share it with the other guys there and the team will do well. Even a 1-0 win would be enough for us.
A win is a win at this stage of the game, but Senzo's been made captain. Were you surprised by that?
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, he's obviously one of the senior players in the team. He's been deputizing for Kune for a long time. And with his experience playing for Orlando Pirates, and as I mentioned, that he's been on the continent, he's played some of the tough games at the highest level. So he does deserve to be captain. But now I wasn't surprised at all.
Now, let's talk a little bit of rugby now. The Rugby Championship, the Boks are playing tomorrow. It's really one of those sporting weekends where everything seems to be happening. The Boks are playing this weekend. They had a couple of bruising outings against Argentina, I think is probably the way to describe it, by being nice to them. People say that the Boks were poor. I thought the Argentinians were absolutely fantastic. But tomorrow's the Wallabies. What's your take?
It's the toughest test of them this year. It's going to be tough, and the narrow wins against Argentina, it was tough. But I do agree with you. The Argentinians were good. But tomorrow is going to be a totally different game ball. And I hope they'll put their hand forward. And the other thing that is going to make it difficult for the Boks is the fact that the team is changed. We've got 6 new players in the team. Yeah. And if some of the guys are able to gel well together, we've got Rowan Pienaar, we've got Morne Steyn. I mean, they should be able. We know we've had wins over Australia, but the Rugby Championship, we know against Australia and New Zealand, that's where we have it. We have tough matches against those two teams. Yemen.
Two little idiosyncrasies tomorrow. Of course, Victor Matfield comes back. He always adds a little bit something. And then Brian Abana is playing in his 100th game for the Boks tomorrow. That's quite an achievement.
It is significant, and I hope he makes the country proud. We know he's served the national team with aplomb over the years. This being his 100th test, he's one of a few players. We know Percy Montgomery is one of the players who've played that much games. So Brian, I'm hoping that he will give us the spark that we need in the team so that we are able to beat Australia. Yemen.
Let's move on to a bit of cricket before time becomes the enemy here. We saw, South Africa's in Zimbabwe. They're playing Australia this weekend in the final. It's the first real big match or big curtain raiser for the World Cup, ahead of the World Cup in February in Australia next year. We always tag them as chokers if they lose these big kind of games. It's really a marquee day. It's a much more important day tomorrow for South Africa, one would think, than for Australia. Because if South Africa loses, they're going to be labelled chokers because they beat Australia early on in the tournament.
Of course, I mean, it has happened with our team over the years that they'll play well, reach the semi-finals of big tournaments, but when it matters the most, then they lose it. And hopefully tomorrow they prove us wrong. I mean, I'm one of those people who considers the team chokers. I mean, they've disappointed me over the years. Some of the games that they should have won, and as you point out, they did beat Australia, but anything can happen tomorrow. And with Australia having lost against Zimbabwe in the series, we're thinking that it should be easy for our guys, and the fact that they beat them will give them confidence. But anything can happen. You know, us and the Australians, the rivalry that exists, when players go onto the pitch, they give out their best. So hopefully our boys will do us proud tomorrow against the Australians.
The guy that's in the form of his life, having scored 300s in the last week or so, has been Faf de Villiers. Are you happy seeing him at number 3 in the batting order? He seems to be taking to it like a duck to water.
No, I'm happy. He's grabbed the opportunity with both hands. I mean, yesterday his century, I mean, is the one that pushed our team to the win, and him being on number 3, I think his performances justify being in that position in our batting order, and he's one of the players that will be key in the game against the Australians tomorrow. I'm confident that he'll continue to score the runs for the team.
Yeah, it'll be a very busy sporting day tomorrow. Let's hope that the South Africans come through, because if they lose tomorrow, it will be a big setback, I would think, in the World Cup preparations.
No, definitely it will be. I mean, this is one of we won't have that many games in terms of preparing for next year's World Cup. And, I mean, this is an opportunity to see how far we are in terms of readying ourselves for next year's World Cup.
And whether we can deliver the goods under the pump. Before we go, wanted to ask you your pick for the US Open tennis this weekend, men's and women's. Who are you favouring to walk away with a title in New York this weekend?
I think Novak Djokovic is my favourite to win the men's version of the tournament, and he's probably going to be playing Federer against the final if both of them do win their semi-final matches. And in the women's version of the tournament, I think Serena Williams will do well. We know she lost against the Russian, whom she'll be playing in the semi-final. For her, it will be revenge. But I think even if Caroline Wozniacki makes it to the final, Serena will be too powerful for her. So it's Serena and Novak Djokovic for me, yeah.
I'm going for an emotional victory. Final Grand Slam win, hopefully, for Roger Federer, Percy. But thank you for joining us and giving us your unique insights into what will be a cracking sporting weekend ahead of us. Thanks once again.
Thanks for having me, yeah.
Fantastic. That's Percy and Carlo from our sports desk. Man who's got his finger on the pulse. What's happening in the world of sport? Thank you for watching. Newsroom is broadcast live from our studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg, every weekday morning between 9 and 10 a.m. The show then repeats at 2 in the afternoon with a rebroadcast at 5 a.m. the following day. We also stream live on YouTube at that time, with the whole show is always available on demand on our YouTube channel. This is SABC News. You've been watching Newsroom. We love it in the morning.